A lone Roman soldier stands beneath an archway. He looks upwards, his panicked gaze fixed on something in the distance. His armour glows, reflecting a strange, intense light source. Behind him, people are running and cowering in fear. The soldier grips at his spear, as if it's the only thing keeping him upright. Despite the chaos around him, he remains at his post. You can almost hear this man's internal monologue, the orders which tell him to stand guard, even as the world is collapsing around him. This painting, titled Faithful Unto Death, was created by Edward Poynter in 1865. It currently hangs in the Walker Art Gallery in Liverpool. The longer you look at this work, you start to realise that something isn't quite right. And when you learn the context behind the painting, it becomes even more fascinating. The man who painted this work was Edward Poynter. Born into upper-class English society, Poynter had spent time in Rome and trained in Paris before returning to London in 1859. He began his career painting scenes based on Roman history and Greek mythology. He was famous for his large-scale history paintings, and Faithful Unto Death was the first of his works to gain widespread public success. It's not surprising, it is an incredibly moving work. The scene takes place during the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD, in the doomed city of Pompeii. The painting is lit with an ominous orange glow, the source of light being the lava and the flames of the eruption. If you look closer at the sentinel's eyes, you can even see the glow of the fire flickering in his pupils. There are other small details in this work which make it extraordinary. On the wall, next to the soldier, faint graffiti mirrors his stance. This to me symbolises the importance of duty and obedience in ancient Rome. It was literally written into the very foundations of the stone. The soldier's stance is protective and strong, but you can see subtle hints that reveal his fear. The tension in his arms, muscles so strained that we can almost picture him trembling. His wide eyes also betray a sense of panic. As he gazes up upon Mount Vesuvius, he knows his fate. Jewellery and coins line the ground below, and another quite sad detail is what appears to me to be a small cat or a tiny dog curled up on the floor. I'm not sure if that's exactly what it is, do let me know your thoughts, but I see a dog. If it is, I like to think this gives a whole new meaning to the work and its title. Perhaps the pet belongs to the soldier and is another example of faithfulness until death, as it waits beside him for the inevitable. The background of the work is also rich with detail. Bodies lay collapsed upon the ground, surrounded by the material possessions they were trying to flee with. People cower in fear as flames and ash rain down upon them. A man with a sinister expression grasps multiple golden vessels, which we can assume he's looted from the crumbling buildings, a symbol of greed even during a catastrophe. These fearful and dishonourable figures in the background directly contrast with the soldier's stoic faithfulness to his duty. What makes it even more fascinating is that this lone soldier may have actually been a real person. In the early 19th century, archaeologists were excavating the ancient ruins of Pompeii. According to a story popularised by the Victorians, during the excavation, the skeleton and weapons of a soldier had been found in a stone niche outside the Herculaneum Gate. A Royal Academy catalogue entry, published when Faithful Unto Death was exhibited, explains the subject further. Forgotten in the terror and confusion, the sentinel had received no order to quit his post, and while all sought their safety in flight, he remained faithful to his duty, notwithstanding the certain doom which awaited him. Victorian writers were fascinated by the story of the soldier who refused to flee. It wasn't just a theme in art, but it was found in literature too. Edward Leighton's novel, The Last Days of Pompeii, features the lone Roman soldier. A passage from the book reads, "The fugitives passed by the Roman sentry. The lightning flashed over his livid face and polished helmet, but his stern features were composed, even in their awe. There he stood, amidst the crashing elements. He had not received permission to desert and escape." The lessons of Faithful Unto Death to a Victorian audience are quite obvious. The strong, youthful guard performs his duty, while the weak and greedy perish without dignity behind him. These themes speak directly to Victorian ideas of virtue. The notion of complete faithfulness to one's duty resonated with upper-class audiences at the time. The painting became emblematic of this ideal, and Faithful Unto Death was reproduced in children's textbooks as a model of obedient behaviour. But is this something we should really strive for? Sir William Gell, one of the early excavators of Pompeii, saw something more tragic in the soldier's remains. He highlighted the fact that this soldier had no choice at all whether he wanted to run or not. In the Roman army, abandoning one's post was punishable by death, so whether he fled or whether he stayed, his fate was sealed. That information changes everything. If we look at the fear in his eyes, the desperate grip on his spear, we start to see this painting differently. This isn't necessarily a stoic and noble sacrifice. This young man is afraid. He's frozen, making the impossible choice between two deaths: the imminent threat of the volcano, or the execution that would surely face him at the hands of his superiors if he fled his post. At this point, the city is destroyed. There's no more treasure to guard, no citizens to protect. Yet he stays at his post because someone, long before the eruption began, told him that it was his duty, and if he abandoned his duty, he would perish. He demonstrated the ultimate obedience to an empire which quickly forgot his name. Faithful unto death once inspired a generation of Victorians. But now, when you look into those terrified eyes, it feels more like a tragedy.